at GDC, and sometimes at GDC you see games that you don't really know too much about, and then of course you gotta ask someone about them, and who better to ask than the creative director? We're here with James from Motiga, and first of all, give us this sort of the short elevator pitch. What is Gigantic?
So Gigantic is a competitive online game. It's 5 versus 5 with unique heroes that have different sets of abilities that are actually designed for players that come from different gaming backgrounds, whether you want shooter character, you want a brawler character, you want sort of interesting skill interactions in RPG, whether you want to play support or damage. And then they also feature, the game features these massive creatures called Guardians. And the objective of the game is to kill the enemy Guardian. The Guardian helps you fight. It'll actually travel across the map and reshape the battlefield for you. It's the way that you win. You power up your Guardian, he takes down the enemy Guardian, and that's your chance to wound the enemy and try to win the game.
Sounds like a little bit of a twist on the action MOBA, if you will.
Sure, I think that a lot of people are going to view it that way. I think we draw from a few different sources, but there's I think a great opportunity to make a fun competitive game that's got strong elements of teamwork, interesting character design, and very dynamic, fluid, action sort of oriented gameplay. It's a third-person shooter perspective. All the skills, you're aiming and sort of making use of cover and all that kind of stuff, but definitely fits into that space.
So speaking of the characters, then, what kind of world is this, and what kind of setting is there?
Yeah, so it's fantasy setting, non-traditional, as you'll see if you look at the characters and world. There's sort of a big empire where there are these massive creatures around that draw their power from the earth around them, and then you've got these various imperial houses that derive their power from the creatures they control, the guardians they control. And so then this is depiction of the different battles that happen between houses and their guardians.
And how do you sort of look upon sort of different roles and different character classes and so on and so forth? What kind of balance is there, and what kind of range is there?
Yeah. So as I touched on a little bit already, it's a little bit non-traditional as far as that goes. One of the influences I like to look at in terms of balancing a diverse range of characters is traditional like 2D fighting games, and the way that you've got characters that can be put into different categories, but a lot of it just has to do with specifics of, at this range I'm good, at this distance I don't want to stand that far away from you, right? Different ways that matchups might change the way you play one character, depending on whether you're fighting against somebody that works another way or not. And so by using the ranges on the skills and relative distances and angles, there's a richness that you get balance-wise by just saying, this character's projectiles are lobbed and they can bank off of walls. This character's projectiles all go straight. These have gravity on them, these don't. This guy's melee, this character has stealth, this character heals, this character can reflect projectiles, this one can buff allies around him, this one can debuff enemies. And so we really decided we were going to take character types, archetypes, and roles from all kinds of different games, put them into this one game and have them square off against each other.
How do you handle the progression in this sort of game? And is it tied to the character you're playing, or is there like a meta account that you level up, or how do you see that?
Well, you want to do both. That's definitely one of the MOBA influences, is you pick one character at the beginning of the game, and that's the character you're playing the whole game, and during the course of the battle you level up and choose how to improve your skills. The leveling up works with a branching upgrade system where the skills actually change what they do depending on the upgrades that you pick. And so it's partially, I think, a question of your play style, but you also want to look at what's the matchup? Who am I fighting against? How do I make this character work better against them? And so one of the characters that I was just helping somebody play a moment ago is HK206. He's this robot. He's got every kind of gun we could put on him: rail gun, chain gun, mortar. He can shoot missiles. And one of the upgrades you get is you can change his railgun into a cannon that does this sort of splash damage and can even, with a second upgrade, daze enemies. And so figuring out whether you want that long-range precision or whether you want the sort of splash and close-range sort of CC play, that's one of the kind of choices you would make. So those are just a small glimpse of the kind of upgrades you do during the course of the game. And then outside of the game, we think it's really important to keep people engaged and give them a chance to kind of unlock stuff over the course of playing. And you want to do that in a free-to-play game with a mix of just being able to get everything through playing, but also having stuff like skins to sell and that kind of thing.
So the announcement that was made yesterday, I believe, can you tell us a little bit about your partnership with Microsoft and bringing it out on both Xbox One and Windows 10?
Yeah, this was really big news for us. You know, we've been working on the title as a PC game for a little while now. We'd done a little bit with controller just for fun because it was sort of easy to map the controls to that. But there's a lot of work to really like tune that right? And then when we got talking to Microsoft, we saw just this amazing opportunity. Their commitment to making it easy to develop both for Windows 10 and Xbox One really aligned with what we wanted to do, which was let as many people as possible play the game. And so what we announced today is that we're coming out both Windows 10 and Xbox One later this year. And it's one account across both games. This is one of the cool things that you get when you've got somebody like Microsoft really looking to kind of push the boundaries of what can be done. So it doesn't matter where you buy things or earn them on. I can jump onto my friend's Xbox One or his PC or my PC or go to gaming cafe, whatever, and play with my account and all of my stuff, and everything I do there is earning it for the future too.
So how would you say it is to work on Windows 10 and as a sort of a platform for game development?
Yeah. Well, honestly, the deal's pretty new. So for us, it was getting things switched over to there are a bunch of like changes that need to be made for us because we hadn't been looking at that. But so far, so good. This thing's actually running on Windows 10 here, even though we inked the deal not that long ago, and it's been really good. They've been a great partner in terms of resources they've given us and just their willingness to help out. And one of the big things you want as a developer when you're looking at working with somebody who's doing stuff like this is how willing are they to listen? How much do they want to know about your experience and make it easier? And so far that's been great.
You talked about unified account. Does that mean that you'll be able to play cross-platform as well?
Yeah, it becomes an interesting question for us because the game's competitive and because there are differences between the way you make a shooter feel good on console and the way you make it feel good on PC. We probably aren't in the same kind of position that other games would be to fully take advantage of just everything's cross-platform, cross-device if you want. But what we are committed to doing is having sort of opt-in cross-platform play. So if you and your friends want to get together and play, it won't matter which device you have. You guys can play together.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.